Now, this may be a shocker to you, but you were not born with the intention and the purpose of finding somebody who will accept you and approve of you. Now, I know that it may seem as if you came onto this planet, you came onto this earth with the simple desire, the simple need for somebody to fulfill your own innermost needs, to find somebody who would finally validate you for who you are, somebody who would see you completely and understand you at a core level. But in truth and reality, if you are to go on that journey and you are to start seeking somebody who will fulfill your needs, you will always be disappointed. And I do mean always. Every single time. You will find the perfect person and you will try to get as much as you can out of that individual. And at a certain point in that relationship, you're still going to feel as if you are not fulfilled. You're going to feel as if there's still a void, even if that person is doing everything that you have listed out, everything that you believe is an internal need for yourself. Now, most of us spend a lifetime seeking the validation of those around us. We look for somebody to approve of us in order for us to feel as if we're worthy. And this comes from childhood. This comes from a space and a place far before your conscious recognition. For most of us, it was as we were adolescents, we were infants. We started to pick up on the characteristics of the people around us, the people-pleasing nature of those around us, and even the way we had to act in order for us to have basic needs met as a child, whether it was those of intimacy, right? Those of closeness and affection, whether it was those of simple, basic survival needs. For some individuals, it might have just been getting fed. In order for you to get attention, to get something done for you, you had to go out of your way to gain the validation and the acceptance of the person who was placed in the responsibility of raising you. And so you carried that belief system on. You carried that very same attitude and temperament about life into adulthood. And now you find yourself in a place where you are cowering, where you are bowing the knee to anybody simply so you can feel as if they're accepting of you. So you're not kicked out of the group, so you don't feel as if you're going to be ostracized from the quote unquote tribe. And I promise you, this is always going to end up in a place where you are disappointed, where you are betraying yourself and you feel betrayed, where you become resentful and bitter about life, where you become jaded about the very things that you even do for others because of where it's coming from. And so I had to come to a conscious recognition of why I did the things that I did, continuously doing things for people and leaving and neglecting the things that I wanted to do for myself. Why was it that every time somebody had something they had going on and I had something I had going on, I would always drop what I was doing for what they were doing? Every time that I had an intention to create, if somebody else came up with an idea, I would completely drop mine and I would jump on the bandwagon of theirs. And at first I believed it was about service. It was about doing for others. It was about giving from this place of a good, godly Christian place. But when I started digging deeper, when I started looking at the layers of the complexity that had become my life, I started to realize that it had nothing to do with, me being some type of saintly figure. It had nothing to do with me being so selfless and so helpful and so service driven. It had everything to do with me trying to appease and please the people around me. And it didn't matter who it was. It could have been complete strangers, any Tom, Dick, and Harry that I just met. Instead of just, allowing other people to be, I felt this intrinsic inner need to do something continuously for the people around me. And a lot of this was tied up again in my upbringing. Now, I had a beautiful upbringing. I believe I had a beautiful childhood. However, it is not always the conscious recognition of the people who raise us as far as the things that they put into us or the things that they bring from their own childhood, the unhealed wounds and traumas that they carry throughout life and then give to their children. So many times, more times than not, it is truly unconscious. And so a lot of my behaviors came directly from there. They came from my upbringing. They came from the theology that I was taught, the doctrines that I was taught. It came from the belief systems that were imputed into my being continuously. These things about being a martyr, these things about self-sacrificing and continuously giving yourself up for the quote-unquote greater good of everybody around you while neglecting yourself, while completely leaving yourself and ostracizing yourself to the point where there was never really any time, any attention, or even an intention to do for self, to develop, to become the type of person who could actually be helpful in somebody else's life. And so I would perpetually pour from an empty cup. I would maybe recharge just enough to get a few drops that I would pour back out, never having enough to sustain the cup, let alone to actually fill anybody else's cup. And so with that realization for myself, I started to see this in those around me. And when I started to teach, when I started to coach and truly be engaged in other people's lives, I started to see this very same pattern from different angles. That a majority of people walking this planet are doing things to try to get the approval of others. And most people will put their life on hold. They will put their life at a standstill in order for them to have somebody else validate them, in order to have somebody else outside of themselves give them some sort of approval, whether it's a pat on the back, whether it's a sign of their acceptance, whether it's a sign of their appreciation, it's a sign of their quote-unquote gratitude, whatever form that the validation took. I saw it happening right in front of my eyes continuously in just about every aspect of most people I would come into contact with lives, right? And I'm talking about, again, engaging with strangers, being in a coffee shop and hoping the person likes you, so saying certain things or getting in conversations and having opinions that you don't even truly hold about life, or having negative conversations when you want to have uplifting, positive conversations. And instead of being uncomfortable in a situation, you would rather just become a chameleon in that conversation and neglect yourself in the process, and drop your values and drop your so-called morals and drop your principles in the process just to make somebody else like you. And again, this is deep, y'all. This is real deep because it starts at a fundamental level. It starts at a level of childhood. It starts at a level where we are looking at our guardians, at those who are bringing us, into maturation as our guide. And most of them have these exact same characteristics that they have not truly acknowledged in themselves. Like, if you were to ask a majority of your parents if they believe they were people pleasers, I would say most wouldn't even think so, right? They wouldn't see their behaviors as being people pleasing behaviors. But there are few people in this society who are actually born with this temperament, or not born, but nurtured into a temperament, or have life experiences as a child that take him out of that space of looking to please people, right? You may call them psychopaths or sociopaths, etc. But even those individuals have certain things that they do in order to fulfill something. They're still looking for external validation. It's just that for them, let's say a sociopath or a psychopath, a narcissist, etc., they're looking to satisfy something within them by taking or siphoning energy out of somebody else. Right? Them taking from somebody is what fulfills them. Whereas us, a majority of us, at least in society, we're continuously giving up ourselves, our entire selves. We are self-sacrificial. We are self-neglecting in the process of trying to get the validation of another. And both forms are the wrong way. Both of those forms end up in the exact same place, which is absolutely disappointed and absolutely in a space, in a place of either, deep resentment and deep unfulfillment. And so I believe that it is our own responsibility, right? Because we're the only ones who are in charge of our own lives. It is our own responsibility to start to learn how to validate ourselves. And I know it sounds complex. It sounds as if I might be simplifying it, but the process has to be harder than just validating yourself, right? But I promise you it's not. Like, it's truly as simple as making the decision that this matters more than anything else. And there are people who are not willing to make the decision, and there are those who are willing to truly make a decision. Those who make the decision are going to be 49% of the way there, right? There's 51% left. And that 51 is now putting it into play. It's putting it into practice. It's truly doing that actual work of validating yourself. When you are becoming aware of certain thoughts coming up, it's looking at those thoughts, choosing to let those old thoughts go and to choose new thoughts, choosing a new story and living by that story, caring more about the new story than you care about the validation of others. Again, many of us know exactly what it is we're supposed to do to renew our story. It is ingrained in our DNA. It is a part of our divine being. It is a part of our spirit as far as what it takes to renew our lives or to step into the lives that God has created for us already. It is ingrained in us. But for so many, there is this desire to continue the old story for the sake of other people's comfort. Just watch yourself in conversation. See if you are speaking on those things that are creating and manifesting the beautiful life you desire, or if you're doing the complete opposite, right? I started to realize this myself. Like, I would say things in private and, affirm all these positive affirmations and speaking life into myself, then get in a conversation with somebody and, oh man, this is terrible. Yeah, you're right. Things are so bad, blah, 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 blah. Just because I wanted to fit in, just because I didn't want to make the other person feel quote unquote uncomfortable. Like, once you're in a place where you are willing to be uncomfortable or allow another person to be uncomfortable in the conversation, because it's not your job to regulate somebody else's emotions. It is not your job. I'll tell you that. No, you're not supposed to step on other people and walk through other people's lives and trample over their experience, but it is not your job to manage the emotions of other individuals. So once you come to a place where you are no longer afraid of somebody getting offended because of your own opinion, or getting offended because you're choosing to be positive in their struggle story, that you're not willing to stoop down into a negative vibration, and you are willing to hold yourself in that high vibration, which is the best thing you can do for anybody, by the way. When you're in that place, I promise you things will start to change. Things will start to shift faster than you've ever seen them before. But again, most people hold themselves back when it comes to engaging with other people, wanting to stay in the loop, wanting to still be a part of the crowd, wanting to still be accepted, wanting to still being able to hang, right? It's like if you're coming off of a certain drug addiction, the thing that is most addicting in most cases is the environment, is the lifestyle, are the people who make up that environment. It is so easy to get caught up in the normalcy and the comfort of an identity built around this thing with these people who do the very same thing, and they give you your validation. They give you your acknowledgement, quote unquote. They give you your approval, quote unquote, until you step out of that environment. The thing that usually brings people back who are not solid in their decision is the people around them. The people, who question them, question their resilience, who question their motive, or the people who don't take them serious, those who, they say like misery loves company. So those who are miserable within themselves, so therefore they'd rather see others miserable. Like whatever those around them intend, if you are somebody who's coming off a drug addiction and you have not made a decision that is more powerful than the opinions of others, you will find yourself going right back into that thing, even though you no longer want to do it. And this is coming from somebody who came out of that lifestyle. Right? I know how tough it is when you have not made a true decision to get out of something that you want to truly get out of, but you care more about what the people are going to think, what the people are going to say, how they're going to feel about you, right? And so I have to just solidify this point. I have to make this point stick, and I will make this point stick. And I promise you that you watch this one time, you watch this 2 times, you watch this 3 times, it's going to become a part of your actual DNA, your fiber and fabric. You're going to understand this at such a deep level that it's going to actually start to create a transformation in real time. I promise you that. You continue to listen to this message, it will start to finally become a part of who you are. The repetition, the auto-suggestion within this is intentional and definitely on purpose. And the purpose of it is to, again, first and foremost, remind you that you are in control. You are in power of your paradigm. And that power that you are giving other people, that is an illusion. It's not real. You are simply... I would making an analogy of, let's say that you were holding onto like this ball of energy and this was your power, right? You can't give this ball away. It's attached to you. It's a part of you. Let's say it's a part of your little hand. All you can do is stretch it out and have somebody else put their hand on it or put more of their hand on that source. Now, it's still a part of you, but you are just allowing them access to your power. And so the more access they have, the more control over you that they are then having. And that's what happens when you start to seek the validation of people outside of you, when you start to seek the approval and the acceptance of those outside of your very own being. You are giving them access to your own power that you still have, and you can pull away at any point in time. But it is still a choice that you are making. And so it is up to you to make the choice to take it back, to keep it to self, and to be self-empowered in that way. And again, the only way that you will be able to do so is you must have a decision that is more powerful, an intention that is more powerful than whatever it is you're looking for in those around you. Whatever it is that you're looking for externally, you must have a decision that's more powerful than that, because only then will you start to make the decisions necessary to move in that direction.